Hey everybody. My name is Douglas Wilson. A little bit about myself. I am the founder and principal of Alexander Wilson Consulting, which is a crisis management and political consulting firm right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just some more about myself briefly. I'm originally from Jamaica, Queens, New York. I was born in Flushing, New York, and back in the late 70s. And my mom and dad decided in the early 90s to move down to a small town called Camden, South Carolina. And I went to high school, and in Camden, I went to college at the University of South Carolina. Cut my teeth in politics on campus through the NAACP. Also pledged at Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and really just learned how to organize through the NAACP. But it wasn't until I got involved in politics in 2007 through the Obama campaign that things just really took off. And so for the sake of time, I'm not going to go really deep into my political background, but just to kind of give you a sense of some of the experiences that I've dealt with. So I know that we're definitely in campaign season. The Democratic convention just ended this past week. We have the Republican convention coming up next week. So this is the season of politics. Elections is 3 months away. And you always hear about like money in politics, like, like campaigns are constantly bombarding you, everybody asking for money. You get a text message saying, hey, this is Joe Biden, or hey, this is so-and-so, or hey, this is Donald Trump, whatever. And they say, yo, I need $5 today to help me keep the momentum, and you're getting that, or you're getting mailers asking for money. You're getting emails every day asking for money. So there's a lot of money in politics, but I know the question is, where is your money best spent? Whether you're a candidate or working on a campaign, or even if you're donating money, you want to know where your money is spent. So today, I'm going to talk briefly about that. And open up the floor for questions and answers. Have a short PowerPoint. I wasn't able to share my screen, unfortunately. So if you see me looking to the sides, because I'm looking at the PowerPoint. So I guess the first question is, what are campaign contributions? So I think to understand, how donations are best spent or where they should be best spent, should understand what campaign contributions is. So campaign contributions is basically the undercurrent that keeps the campaign moving. A campaign at the end of the day is just a small business, temporary small business, and it needs money to operate. You need money to send those text messages that you're getting, send the emails that you get from candidates. You need money to put out yard signs that you see all over the place. Mailers, paying people on the ground to help you get the vote out. You need to pay, if you're a really large campaign, like you see these big presidential campaigns, you got to pay for people's health care. So all of that comes from money that's raised by the candidate / the campaign. And so when that money is raised, the campaign uses it to help build and keep their operations afloat. So some things that they do is, one, they use that to pay for messaging. Messaging is a key component of campaigns to make sure that they're reaching voters as much as possible. So they need finances to do that. They need to purchase the material to help reach voters as well. So voter contact, voter turnout, they use that material to purchase. On the Democratic side is called the voter file. The voter file is a huge tool that contains basically all of us, all registered voters, and what our voting history is. It doesn't tell you who you voted for, but it tells you which party you did. And they're able to then effectively target to those voters to make sure that they are connecting with them. And that resource takes money as well. Also, when it comes to get out the vote, GOTV, you heard about that before. They need money to help with voter protection, material, you name it, digital. So that is what a campaign contribution is. So today, talking briefly about rethinking donations. How should I spend money on my campaign? So let's say that you're on here and you decide that you're running for office, or if you are like myself and you help clients that are aspiring politicians, you know, you help them to figure out how they should best spend their money. When should I hire staff, or what should I spend my money on for my campaign? And so you have to target wisely what those resources should be. So one of the first things that, you know, just rethinking donations. A lot of people that are running for office or that are working on campaigns, they feel the first thing they have to do when they get money is hire this huge staff. You don't do that. The first thing that you have to do is, when you start raising your money, is one, you want to bring in both a fundraiser or campaign manager, or both. And the fundraiser would usually say, well, the way that I'm compensated, not saying me personally, but let's say the fundraiser, the way that they're compensated is that they will say, well, I get a percentage of the dollars that you raise, and then the rest of the money goes to the campaign. And that's totally normal. And then a campaign manager to help facilitate the campaign, do day-to-day operations. Sometimes you don't even need that. You can just need a campaign manager, and that person can do both. So you want to do that. The second thing you want to do is map out your plan on where that money needs to go. So I can give you a real life example that I have right now, where I have a candidate that's running locally and where I live, and he doesn't really have a whole lot of money. And so we have to rethink where our donations are going into. So what we're doing, we're using social media, which is an effective tool that you can use your campaign dollars to help reach voters. A lot of these ads that Facebook, Twitter, Instagram make are not that expensive. You can, for $100, reach 10,000 people in your area, and that's cheaper than, say, trying to raise a whole lot of money and go on TV. You don't always have to go on TV, especially if you're running locally. Now, a lot of national campaigns, they have to, because they got to reach a lot of voters in a very short amount of time. But they still do social media. So that is also, you know, a tool that they use. So that's what we're doing. We're looking at social media, and then we're looking at doing direct mail as well. So we're looking at getting mail pieces. You've probably seen them before, where you put on there your campaign's message, a good headshot of yourself, and you also put on there some of the 3 or 4 components you're running on. And you also are able to, on the back of it, you're also able to put the date of the election, early voting, and your contact to your campaign. So that's what we're doing with the campaign. One of the campaigns I'm working on, we're looking at key precincts, in particular high performing precincts, and we're sending all the resources that we've been able to raise and buy the material for to that, because we know that that's where our campaign dollars are going to be best spent. I think the third thing that you have to do in rethinking your campaign donations is your branding. Visibility is everything, and that, you know, ties in with direct mail. But you also want to make sure that your branding is tight, makes sense, and it's consistent. You got to have it, whether it's in emails or whether it is in yard signs. You want to make sure that your branding is as effective as possible. So that is another key area to where your money should go. I'm about to switch in a little bit from like the campaign side to like you as a person that's I'm donating money, but just a little bit more on the campaign side. When to spend your campaign money, it kind of ties back what I was just saying earlier. One, when you get the donations, you want to try to make sure that you have a campaign manager. That person is going to be with you every day, talking to you every day. Then you want to make sure you host events to raise money. So now, of course, with COVID, you can't be in person, but you can hold events like this, Zoom events or hop-in events. to where you can have a virtual fundraiser to help raise money. And then once you raise those donations, you want to effectively use them either on social media, paid media, visibility, your yard signs, in particular, and going back to media, we'll make sure that you're also hitting African American media, Latino media, because a lot of times, unfortunately, campaigns overlook spending money in those communities, and those communities vote at high levels, but they won't come out if nobody's talking to them. So you also want to make sure that you're spending your resources in people in POC communities, people of color communities, Black, brown communities. You got to do that. And events, like I said, holding events virtually. Now, you as a voter, you as a citizen, you know, when you want to make a donation to a campaign, I always advise donating to campaigns that you believe in. Because when you donate to a campaign, not only are you agreeing to give them funding, whether you're giving them $5 a month, $10 a month, or $1,000 a month, you are buying into what that campaign believes in and that campaign's message. And so you want to make sure that when you're spending your money on these campaigns, that they are one campaign that believes in the same things that you believe in. Two, that they're fighting, that you know they're going to fight for your issues. And three, that their money is going to be used wisely. Once you become a donor to a campaign, you become a stakeholder in that campaign. And so what a lot of campaigns do is that some of them, the larger ones, like you see on the presidential level, you see that they have calls with their donors to give their donors an update on how their money is being spent. When I used to work at the Democratic Party here in North Carolina, every quarter, whatever, my boss at the time would have a call with the trustees and donors of the party to say, okay, all the money you gave us, this is where it went to. We spent it on hiring staff to do digital. We spent it on voter education, voter protection. We spent it on the field program. And so that way donors feel like, okay, your money or my money is being spent wisely. If you're on the local level, most campaigns, what they would do is that they'll send an email out, blast email, and say, thanks for your help last month. Because we raised $2,000, your contributions helped us buy yard signs or helped us reach X amount of voters. And so that way you feel there is a connection there. So I just want to talk really briefly about that, but I definitely feel like this topic is really good for question and answer. I just don't want to keep talking. And I know we're at 12:30. Want to give enough time for everyone to ask questions. But I just want to give like a quick 30,000 foot view of what campaign donations are and how those donations are being spent wisely if you're on a campaign or if you're a candidate yourself. And as a citizen, you know, a good example of where your money is going to. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of money flowing out there, but, you know, campaigns need it to operate. If they don't have money, they can't reach you. I mean, there's a lot of voters. I mean, some districts, one of the candidates I have, her district has 140,000 voters. So, you know, you have to have funding to reach that amount of voters. So LaKesha, I'm ready to just do a Q&A, and if you have questions in the chat, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Yes. I have lots of questions for this discussion. So the first thing, like, a lot of people don't think they have enough money to make a difference in campaigns. So can you explain, like, not only how the dollar donations, but people have been able to say they have X number of small dollar donors, the impact that has on campaigns?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that small dollar donors are extremely, extremely important to campaigns. The reason being because let's say if I'm a millionaire, which I'm not, wish I was, I'm not a millionaire. and let's say I gave the maximum amount of, I think the maximum amount a quarter, depending on the campaign, is between 25 to 5 grand. If I give 5 grand for that quarter, which is like 3 months, I'm maxed out. I can't give to that campaign until the next quarter. But if I'm giving $5 a month or $5 a week, a campaign can continuously go back to me and say, hey, do you have another $5 to give? And so that maximizes over a large amount of people. If you have 2,000 people giving $5 each, I'm not the best at math right now, but that's a lot of money. And so you as a small donor is very important to a campaign. And campaigns, I like to brag on that. You know, I said we're in the season of politics now, and you will see Joe Biden or Donald Trump say, "Oh, you know, the Trump campaign or the Biden campaign raised $400 million this month, and 90% of that was from donations less than $100." And I love to say that, because what the campaign is saying, we have a grassroots movement that's driving us. Campaigns don't like to say they have big dollar donors. They don't like to say that. They like to say, I got the people that can only afford to give me $10 a month. So yeah.
Yeah. So explain to people, what are bundlers? Because sometimes like people don't underestimate the power that they have collectively. So like how you can have like fundraisers, like you don't have to be a millionaire to be a bundler, where you can bring people together to donate to campaigns.
Yeah. So a bundler is basically like a group of people that will come together, and they'll tell the campaign, they'll say, hey, I have 10 people and they're willing to give $500 each. And we will hold a virtual fundraiser. Again, I'm speaking in COVID terms now. We will hold a virtual fundraiser for your campaign, and we will bundle that money together in addition to the money that people give. Campaigns love that. So if you have 10 people each giving $500, that's what, 500,000? Is my math right there?
10 people giving 5,000.
Yeah, so 5,000. So that's good, and then that money's guaranteed to the campaign, and any other dollars they bring in at the door or on the Zoom chat is gravy. So you don't have to have a lot of money to be a bundler, even if it's $200 or $100. You get 10 people, 15, 20 people to bundle together to give $100 each. I mean, campaigns are not going to turn that down. Now, there are larger bundlers that just got it like that, and they bundle together and they get like $1 million, or something that's just crazy. So, yeah.
And then so one of the things that I try to explain to people is like the impact that has.
Yeah.
So even again, if you're not able to give that money individually, but by you bringing a group of people together that can give that money, how the candidate then looks at you and your group. Because now when they get elected and issues come up, they're much more likely to take your phone call versus someone who hasn't given anything to the people. I mean, just like in real terms, because we don't talk about money in politics in the Black community very much. And so
So I know that money in politics is a negative thing. People talk about, I hate money, but it's a reality. I mean, money runs you have to have money to just, be sitting here, I have money to have a computer. To talk to the car, you have to have money to pay for your house, So candidates look at donors and they look at grassroots activists, grass tops folks. If you're able to bundle people together and give money to a candidate, and you're actually able to do that, and they see that, they're going to say, hey, I need to talk to this person. I'm going to answer the phone for them. When they get elected, they're going to say, oh yeah, I remember this person did that. And not only do they take your call, they tell other candidates about you.
Right.
And depending on what party you're in, I know in the Democratic Party, they hear that, like, oh, you can give money to the party too. They say that. And they also talk to activists. So using LaKesha as a good example, right? I know LaKesha was big in the church, so I reached out to you when I was at the party to help connect, because we know the people that are able to bring money in and the people that are able to touch folks in the community. Those are folks that they're going to continuously talk to. If you are a voter, you're still important. I mean, we're all voters, but campaigns are about getting things done in a short period of time, and they got to go to the people that can help them get it done in that short period of time.
Right. Yeah, and I think that that's something that the church doesn't realize, like the power that it has, because just because you're a part of a church doesn't mean that outside of the church you can't get church people together to do something. You don't have to do it in the church's name, but you can do it at your house or do it in a virtual space that's not associated with the church. But that's where like your power really comes from. And I feel like you were saying, like investing in ads and targeting like the community, like people invest money where they're going to get a return on their investment. So if they know your community doesn't vote and your community doesn't donate, then they're probably not going to run ads in your area. And that's why I feel like we get left out a lot of times in the conversation.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is changing now, thanks to the systemic racism awakening that happened with the George Floyd murder. I noticed a lot of candidates from, again, talking from the Democratic side, from Biden down to, district, to the district level, there is now a bigger focus on making sure that that candidates not only talk to our community, but that they're investing in our community. And so now is the time, and I'm just going to be blunt, to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Because it's sad that it took that long for that recognition to happen. Not saying that they weren't thinking about our issues, and they were, but to realize, okay, it is really deeper than what they saw. And like we're talking about with the church is still a powerful tool, whether you're in the pulpit or you're out of church on Sunday morning. If a candidate hears you're a pastor, or minister, or usher, or elder, what have you, they're going to want to talk to you.
Right.
And I'm not sure how many ministers we have on this chat, but y'all better get ready, because you're going to start getting hit up by candidates. Say, hey, can I get in your virtual services to say a few words? And I always encourage church leaders, and I always encourage my candidates this too. Like, look, if you get elected and you go to these churches beforehand while you're running, you better come back on a consistent basis, because they're going to remember that. And I think that many folks in the church are not going to be, even though we're supposed to forgive, not going to be as forgiving after candidates that don't come back this time. So, many leaders like yourself have immense power. And just because you're not a millionaire yet, and you don't have this big house on the lake, whatever, you're still powerful, very powerful individual. All of you are. Yeah.
So just to switch gears, like kind of like a little pinpoint up here, let's talk a little bit about like the power that people have to like work on campaigns, because like there are campaign jobs, and now that the nominees have been selected, like a lot of campaigns are now looking for people to work as an organizer. So talk a little bit about like those opportunities, not only to give money, but to make money from campaigns, because you don't have to just volunteer for free. Like there are people who are actually getting paid to work.
Yeah, they are. And it moves so fast, because now that the conventions are about to wrap up, I know Republicans are next week. After the Republican convention, it's going to accelerate. And a lot of campaigns from the presidential level to the U.S. Senate level to the local level are hiring folks to organize voters. There's a lot of ways for you to, try to get hired by a campaign. You can go to a website and they'll have the job link, and, you can apply that way. And they are really looking for folks that are in state and local, because over the past couple of cycles, voters, in particular community leaders, would complain to campaigns, especially at presidential level, and say, you got this person coming in from New York coming into Eastern North Carolina, and they don't know nothing about Eastern North Carolina. When you could have hired Gladys down the street and paid her the same amount, she could have gotten the voters out, you know. And campaigns have heard that and now they're acting on that. So, you know, it's a really good time to try to work for a campaign. I got to tell you, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hours, but it's rewarding, especially if you're able to do a good job, because campaigns remember that. I mean, I started working on campaigns in 2007 for Barack Obama. I started off as a field organizer. I was working like 60 hours a week.
Yes.
I was making like $2,500 a month. But I connected with so many people in Charlotte, so many people in South Carolina. I used those connections to further my career.
Mm-hmm.
So I am 13 years later, a business owner based upon the connections I made over the years in politics. And so it also gives you a better sense of, you know, what this political game is about and really what voters are going through. You would talk to people that have issues that you never even believed that they did, or, you know, not only realize that you guys have the same issues in common.
Right.
Well, actually, it makes you a leader in your community.
Yeah.
Like, people here, like, I haven't worked for Barack Obama in 13 years when he was a candidate. And people to this day that volunteered for me remember me from the Obama campaign.
Right.
When I got hired on as a senior advisor to the Biden campaign, coordinated campaign here in North Carolina, the first in the press said that he worked for Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And so that candidate's name follows you. And you always want to be really cognitive of who you're working for too, because you don't want to go work for somebody and you don't believe in their issues,
right?
And you know, so whatever. But you know that's how you can get involved.
Yeah, that's actually how I ended up in Charlotte, like working on the Hillary campaign, making connections and building up my resume, which led to, you know, phone calls from so many different people to consult and to give my opinion about, you know, how their campaigns were going and things. So it definitely like opens the door for a lot of opportunity. So going back to the finance part. So talk to us a little bit, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between like direct giving through a PAC, or giving through a super PAC. Like, and then some people don't know the difference between a PAC and a super PAC. So can you just do like I guess like a high level like
definitely. So direct giving is basically like what it sounds. You go to a campaign's website. Every campaign's website has this big build, that's big donate here, big donate. And so you click on that and you donate your money, and just be ready for them to be hitting you up every day.
$1,
and they'll say, hey, gave $1 last time, we can match it with $2. You know, that's what they would do. So that's direct donations. You can mail a check or money order to the PO box the campaign has on the website. You can give to a candidate when they do call time. Candidate calls you, you can give that way. So that's direct. So PACs. PACs, depending on, you know, how they're set up, you have PACs that raise money and then they endorse candidates, and the money that they raise, they give to those candidates that they endorsed. So if there's a PAC like, say, Emily's List or the Collective PAC, you know, you give money to those PACs and they take that money and then they invest in the candidates that they endorse. So that's another way to do it. So, you know, if you believe in electing more women to office, you know, Emily's List, Lillian's List, those are PACs that focus solely on electing women and making sure we have more women in political office. And so you can donate to that. If you believe in having more Black political power, you know, whether it's women or a Black woman or a Black man, then the Collective PAC is another great PAC you donate to, and they take that money and they invest in the campaigns that they endorse. And then there are other PACs like, you know, the Black Political Caucus, or, you know, the Durham Committee for the Affairs of Black People. Those are local PACs that they endorse candidates, and then what they do is that they ask those candidates to help contribute to the PAC, so they can then send out direct mails to voters, to key voters, with your name on it, with their other candidates they've endorsed. So that's how those are set up. Now the super PAC, that's like the godfather of all. Super PAC are these huge PACs that are able to raise unlimited amounts of money and then take that money and spend it on behalf of a candidate that they are supporting, but they're not allowed to work directly with that candidate because the campaign finance law says super PACs can't work with those candidates. So they can't like have like direct contact. So if you got cable, you got Hulu Plus, whatever, you're probably seeing commercials from both candidates that have this deep dark music and whatever, and then you hear, then you see on the bottom of the screen, this ad was paid by Great America PAC, and no candidate, no party, paid for this, or this was paid by Priorities USA, no candidate, no. So those are super PACs, and usually who forms those super PACs are former campaign workers for these top campaigns in the past. Like Priorities USA was founded by folks that worked for the Obama administration or the Obama campaign years ago, and that just got it like that, and they just got this money, they can do that. Or on the Republican side, I think it's Great America or whatever. Those are folks that worked for Donald Trump's campaign in the past, or some of his supporters, and they came together and they funded this big super PAC. So that's the kind of like 30 to 30,000 foot view.
So just to clarify for you guys, PACs can work with candidates. Super PACs cannot work with candidates. So looking at the difference, like the super PACs, like they essentially like set their own agenda and do what they want, even in the candidate's name, whereas the PACs are more engaging. Talk to us just a little bit about like what candidates can't do with your money. So some people are like, I don't want to donate to campaigns because I don't want this person getting rich off of me. Like candidates can't spend them, well, they're not supposed to spend. They end up in a lot of trouble, but they can't spend the money like paying their mortgage or paying.
No, they'll go to jail. That is completely illegal. Candidates can only spend your money on campaign material or stuff related to the campaign. So they can spend your money on hiring staff. They can spend your money on buying campaign material. They can spend your money on, I was trying to find something in my office I can show you, but they can spend money on direct mail, on resources to help them reach you, like the voter file on the Democratic side, Aristotle on the Republican side. That's what they can't do. What they can't do is take that money and then buy a suit or buy a mortgage or pay for the mortgage to buy a house. You probably heard in the news, a Republican member of the State House was actually just indicted the other day. Because what he did was he made a bank account. He formed a bank account and put NCGOP. And then what he would do is take money that was being donated to his campaign and then transfer some of that money to the NCGOP account. So it looked like he was donating to the Republican Party every time the donation, the reports came out. Come to find out, that account was a personal bank account, and was using that money to buy stuff for himself. You can't do that. It's illegal. The same thing with Steve Bannon that got arrested the other day. He was telling people, you donate to us, we're gonna take 100% of this money and we're gonna take it to build a wall. And you can't do that. He didn't do that. He was buying it to do plastic surgery and all that stuff. And now he's indicted. And then there was just kind of being fair here, there was a Democrat. You remember the former Charlotte mayor. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he went to jail for using campaign contributions or trying to bribe. You can't do that. And then there was a Democrat down in Louisiana, I think it was hiding thousands of dollars in the freezer, and then he told his wife to take the money and put it in her underwear, walk out. I mean, so that is what campaigns and candidates cannot do. And you can be rest assured there is strict laws, regardless of party, that if they find out that you are doing that, they are not going to forgive you. You are in deep trouble. You're going to be indicted, and you probably will end up in jail.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about bribing, because I think like that's key, because I know like when I was working on the campaign, there were people who like wanted to be paid for like their assistance with getting out the vote. And so it's like, oh yeah, we can bring so many people to help you, but what are we gonna get in exchange for it? And so the party does sometimes like give people incentives to help get out the vote, but how is that different from bribing, just so that people understand?
Yeah, so it's different. So, bribing would be like, if 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 a candidate says, well, I'm trying to think of a good example of that. I guess if a candidate would say like, if you bring me X amount of voters, I will, help you get a new car or something like that, or I'll help you, you know, I will put you in this office. That's borderline shady. What isn't bribing is if a candidate says to someone that is known for getting out the vote, or they have an LLC, which is key, stuff like that, or they'll do one or two things. Hey, I'd like to hire you on my campaign because I know that you're really good at getting out the vote here. So I'm going to hire you as a field director. I want to hire you as a political director, or, and I'll pay you. Or like, if you don't want to get on a campaign and you want to consult with them, they will pay you, but you will have to have an LLC for them to pay you that, so they can properly file that on the taxes. So I hope I was able to answer that, because, yeah, like it's and especially if you're in office, and then you start selling like congressional seats or selling seats on like different boards, that is extremely unethical, and you shouldn't do that. Always remember, for those of you in here that are think about running for office, politics is about public service. And so when people vote for you, they are entrusting their lives with you, basically.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're city council, if you're county commission, U.S. Senate, state Senate, they're entrusting your lives. I mean, look what's happened with COVID-19. I mean, folks aren't trusting these leaders that we elect to save them. So always remember that.
Yeah, I think like that is so important, because we don't often just think about, because politics is such a dirty game, especially when we start talking about money. And that's why I wanted to do this session, because we don't talk about money and politics enough. And so people kind of shy away from it, or they don't want to donate to campaigns because they don't really understand the benefit and the impact that they can have. Because it's great to say, I support this candidate, but it's like, but have you invested in the candidate to help them get the yard signs, and to help them with their messaging, or to help them with their branding? And then when they lose by like 20 votes, then it's like, oh man. And it's like, yeah, but if you had, contributed, whether financially or even in like people resources, you could have been able to help them.
Yeah. It's tough. There's a lot of money in politics. Politics can be very cutthroat. I know that politics is a bad rap, because I can't tell you how many times I get questions from people. Is politics like what I see in the Oval? Is politics like what I see in Scandal? Is politics? I'm like, no. I'm not saying that there isn't an Olivia Pope. There is a real Olivia Pope, but it's or if it's like House of Cards, like, no, it's really, it is not. But the money part is real, and you have to realize why there's so much money. So let's take the two presidential candidates right now. There are 360 million people in the country. They have to reach millions of voters, in particular in 11 swing states that determine the election. That takes an enormous amount of money, because you got to think the amount of people they got to reach. They got to reach me. They got to reach you. They got to reach your family. They got to reach people that you know that you went to school with. And how do you reach them? Well, you have to call those voters. That takes money, because you got to use a system to do it. You got to text them. That takes money. You got to use a vendor to do that. Yard signs. Everybody wants a yard sign. Everybody, where the yard signs at? Yard signs are expensive.
They are.
So they are. You got to get yard signs for that. Mail. Oh, I didn't get enough in the mail. You got to get money for that. TV ads in order for these presidential candidates to hit you real time. TV ads. And now, you know, for good measure, a lot of people like myself ain't got cable. And so we're streaming.
Yeah.
So you got to get Hulu Plus Live ads, you got to get Netflix, you got to get YouTube ads. That costs money. So the money is there, or the money in politics is there to reach the masses. I think where it gets a little bit like makes you want to throw up is when it's not being used correctly, where you hear these people going to jail because they use campaign contributions to enrich themselves, and they shouldn't do that.
Right.
But the money in politics, I know it's there are different movements to stop it. It's always going to be there because, unfortunately, fortunately, the country continues to grow. We continue to diversify, and you're going to have to hire people and make sure that there are ways to reach those voters, because the more diverse the country becomes, the more you have to learn about those diverse communities as well.
So we have a question. How can candidates leverage social media and various other non-traditional means of reaching people?
Yeah, so social media is definitely king now. A lot of voters get their information on social media. That's both a good thing and a bad thing, because sometimes, as you know, social media has a lot of untrue things. So Leroy, the way that you leverage that is that you create what we call digital graphics. You can go to Canva and pay a small fee a month, or even get a free trial, and create like a Instagram graphic about your campaign, and say, my name is Leroy McKenzie. This is what I'm running for. And make it real nice. Put your picture in there, and then you can put that on social media, and then put a little caption under it, and then have people share that, and that gets shared with people. If you want to even go bigger than that, you can set up a Facebook business account or Instagram account where it's tied to your campaign, and that allows you to target people in different zip codes with that social media graphic, and then you can what's called boosting it. You can boost it. So like I live in 28273. And so if I want to get people down here to vote for me, I'm going to make sure I boost it to 28273. You can even go further and say, okay, I know that the early vote location is at Olympic High School. So I'm going to find a zip code around that. And I'm going to boost my social media posts to voters that live near that early vote site. And that is a very smart way to use social media. And it actually also, not saying that commercials don't reach people, but I don't care what age you are. A lot of voters are looking on their cell phones. Look, how many of y'all got on Facebook, Instagram this morning since y'all?
Right.
You know, I mean, that's the first thing I do. I wake up in the morning. You know, I should grab my Bible, but then I'm grabbing the phone. I'm like, well, let me see who liked my thing the other day. You know, so you know that's a really good strategy to do with social media.
And and that like sounds so simple, but there are a lot of candidates, especially like candidates who are a little bit older, who don't understand social media. So if you understand that strategy, then you can pitch yourself to work for a campaign as a social media strategist and provide that service to help them. And so that's another way that you can make money from campaigns, because they're willing to pay money to build that social media presence. So again, when we think about money in politics, don't just think about like what you can give, but also think about how you can make money in campaigns.
Yeah.
So the last thing, because we're out of time, but there is one more question that talk about like the filing. So people can't so campaigns have to file where the money that they receive comes from. A lot of people don't know that. And those are public records. So you can see if you have a candidate that you're following, you can actually go and look at their filings to see who's donating to their campaign. Yeah,
you can. So every quarter, at the end of every quarter, you have to file a report with the local board of elections. State, with the state board of elections. And they give you a form you got to fill out. You can do it digitally. That's why it's always good to have a treasurer in your campaign. And it's almost, just think of it as like paying taxes, or like when you do your taxes, or you do your own bank account. You have to put who all gave to you, what their occupation is, address, name, all that, and the amount they gave. You got to put your campaign expenditures on there and your campaign revenue. You sign it, send it in. If you don't file that, they will fine you. Like, I know in North Carolina, it's $500. It is public record, like LaKesha said. You can go into the state board's website and pull it, and you will see. Now, the only difference is you're running statewide or locally, your report is going to show up on the state board. If you're running federally, it's a difference. You have to file both with the state board, but also with the federal government. So the federal government is called the Federal Elections Commission, and you have to send that in. So if you're looking for who gave to Joe Biden, Cal Cunningham, Dan Forrest, Roy Cooper, Trump, you have to go to, not Roy Cooper, I'm sorry, Trump, Biden, and members of Congress. You can look on the state board. They only give you but so much. If you really want to have a deep dive, you got to go to the Federal Elections Commission. I think it's fec.gov. Mm-hmm. And kind of play around with it to find that. So yeah, it's always good to have a good compliance person. So I know it's short on time, just real quick. If you have a campaign treasurer, they are required to take a training with the State Board of Election. So they're certified by the state board to do your compliance reports. There are also compliance consultants that will work with your treasurer or do the compliance part for your campaign, and the treasurer can focus on raising money. I wanted to put that out there. Pre-COVID, those trainings would happen all over the state. It'd be in Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro, wherever. Now that we're in COVID, more than likely, they've probably been taking place online.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know I had a lot of questions for you, and thank you, Leroy, for asking a question. And we're just so happy to have this information out here so that people have a better understanding of money and politics, because it is a dirty game, but it's very necessary because it's not going anywhere, because it takes at least $1 million to run for a congressional seat. At least $1 million. That's the absolute minimum you should even think about raising if you want to run for a congressional seat. It can go way up depending on the size of your district. So these candidates need resources in order to be successful. It's not just about, oh, that's my cousin, let's go vote. You got to get a lot of votes and cover a lot of the area the higher you go. And so our community needs to be represented financially, but then there's also opportunity for us to make money and to work on campaigns so that our voices are heard. And then, if your candidate wins, then there could be a position for you in DC, because the times I've gone to DC to lobby, you just don't see a lot of Black and brown faces working in congressional offices, because a lot of times people don't have that experience on the lower level that gets you with the candidate to go further. So definitely. Awesome.
Well, I really enjoyed this. Please have me back when you have your next one. Definitely enjoyed it.
Awesome. Okay, guys.